So you want to make a movie about Dragon Ball, do you? Well, prepare yourself, it's a lot harder than you might think. Hey guys, MasakoX here. Now today, we're going to be looking at Dragon Ball Z movies. Not one movie in particular, but all of them. And none of them, in a way. More like, we're actually going to look at how these tales were made, how they were conjured up, how the staff got put together, and what it takes to make a Dragon Ball Z movie. Looking at stories that differ greatly from the series, as well as trying to explain why things that happen in the movies don't naturally fit in with the show. For starters, let's get over the basic workflow before we get into the nitty-gritty. According to a Jump Gold special magazine in 1991, it is believed that the series producer and organizer, Toriyama, basically comes up with the overall package for a movie and then presents it to Toriyama. Then once it's approved by Toriyama, it's then sent off to the chief animators at Toei, who then continue the process as if this was an extra long episode. They may have to clean up some of Toriyama's designs if he's chosen to supply anything for the movie, but other than that, it's pretty much a standard process for making a TV episode, only with a much bigger budget. That's the simple part, but don't worry, there's more to this. So what do we know about the Dragon Ball Z movies already? Well, if we choose to combine all the movies that are Dragon Ball related, then we have 13 Dragon Ball Z movies, plus 2 TV specials. We then have 4 original Dragon Ball movies, 1 GT special, 2 if you count Path to Power, and then of course the 2 movies Battle of Gods and Resurrection F that are part of the Super Saga so far. But today we're going to focus more on the Z part of that franchise because that's where most information is present. As you might be aware, the movies are their own self-contained stories, which differ greatly in terms of how much they're connected with the series. Some movies, for example, like the first Cooler movie and the BoJack movie, can slip into the TV series quite easily. There's no overt story inconsistencies or lack of continuity, so you could just add this as a couple of episodes like a mini arc and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. But movies like the second Cooler movie, Fusion Reborn, and the first couple of Broly movies are a little bit harder to pinpoint. But if you changed a few things in that, it can be done. And if you want to check out the video where I actually try to do so, then I'll include a link in the description and up top. These movies are usually just extended TV stories. They're usually about 40 to 50 minutes in length. Some cases they can be over an hour, and in some cases over 2 hours. I'm looking at you, Battle of Gods. That's a lot of Dragon Ball. Now the big question is, how do you make a Dragon Ball Z movie without the original source material? It's not like there are 13 manga that you can make into individual movies. This has to be done differently. Well, okay, you do have the original creator knocking around to ask some more of the tricky stuff. In the following quote, Toriyama explains his involvement in the movie production process as described in Daizenshuu 6. In this interview, he openly admits that he takes a back seat in proceedings. I take the movies as stories in a different dimension from the main story of the comic. I'm entirely just an audience member for them. I check the plot and script that gets sent me from Toei Animation. I also do some character designs and touch-ups, as well as altering the names and such. Toei shows me the project draft for each movie, and I design characters appropriate to the story. So for those of you thinking that Toriyama gets stuck into these movies, a chance to do something new without any strings attached, no continuity issues to worry about, a chance to breathe fresh air into these stories of his? Think again. He's busy keeping to deadlines, which at the time were really difficult to keep a track of. His work's being frantically sent to editors, then approved and sent to the publishers, so there's no time for anything else. Why on earth would he waste his time writing a movie script when there are people at Toei that would more than willingly do that for him? All he needs to do is look at the scripts and treatments, maybe do a little bit of character designs every now and again, he doesn't have to. He can just look at the scripts and treatments, just say what he likes and what he doesn't like, and then he can just move on. He can just take a moment out of his time. It's easier for him and Toei because he doesn't take up much of his valuable time, and Toei can pretty much do whatever they like. But buried in that quote though, is the fact that Toriyama does indeed do character designs for the movie. He's not entirely hands-off. He does like creating characters, he's just not always glad about having to draw them over and over again. One-time affairs though, something that is unattached, that's much nicer for him. He likes to indulge in the creation of new characters, especially when it comes to villains. Although Toriyama didn't create all the villains for all the Dragon Ball Z movies, he did dabble in a couple of the more prominent ones. And for the others, he did oversee their development and they did get the thumbs up from him. His prime examples of designing villains for the movies are BoJack and, of course, Broly. Yeah, that was no executive decision, that was no marketing meeting. Broly was Toriyama's own work. Let that sink in for a moment. Incidentally, what movie villain was Toriyama's favourite? Well, apparently it was second form Janemba. Huh, neat. What about his favourite movie or special? Well, that was the BORDON TV special. He liked it for its dramatic premise. That's pretty understandable. But in all of this, how does Toriyama come up with the design for a character in the first place, be them good or bad? First, the face. While I'm thinking up the face, I imagine their body type. When the face and the body are set, I've already come up with a general idea for the costume. For clothes, I design them while thinking about something that fits the world the characters inhabit. Or in the case of fighting characters, I wonder if they'll be able to move properly in this. In terms of the number of drawings, there are times when I still can't design even after 30 odd drawings, and also times when I think, that's about right after just one. Oh, by the way, this is a fun movie fact. Those Potara earrings that are so synonymous with fusion weren't always about fusion. For the longest time, those earrings that the Supreme Kai and Heavenly Beings wore were just earrings. When Toriyama was first developing those beings from the sacred world of the Kais, those earrings had no real purpose for them, but that changed very quickly, as I will now describe. Since fusion was a plot point that was already taken by one of the movies, I was wondering what I should do. I'd always been drawing earrings on Kaioshin, so I thought, perhaps I can use these. As I've been driven into a corner, it's like my brain waves go taut, and some sort of ideas bubble up. Also, I'm good at forcing things to stretch. Even I'm always in suspense. In the previous chapter, I've already written something incredible is going to happen, so I think, well, I have no choice but to do something incredible. It's so painful. So movies do indeed have an impact on the main storyline. Now I'm guessing since the concept of fusion was being used for Fusion Reborn, and then the idea of fusion would then be carried over to the TV series, Toriyama might have needed to come up with a different way of doing it. Toriyama needed to come up with a new way of making a fusion work, and with different characters. Something to give Super Buu a true run for his money. Well, he couldn't have Gogeta appear twice. Who would go and watch the movie then? It would be spoiled. People would be bored. Another fusion! That's it! This time it would have Vegeta instead of Goku being the main personality. Therefore we got Vegito, or Vegerot depending on what source you read or watch. It's that kind of quick thinking that's made Toriyama a legend. Also, another fun movie fact, and again from Fusion Reborn. This one may have been covered by other people, so to anyone that thinks I'm treading over their toes, I do apologize, but this is just something so cool that I wish to share with you guys. If you came up with this initially, then good on you. If you cut Gogeta's front image in half, then look what you get. On the left side, you get something that looks like Vegeta, and on the right side, it's pretty much all Goku. Put them together, and you got Gogeta! Crazy, eh? I had no idea about this. Now that I know about it, I can't unsee it. And this is really, really bad considering I really like Gogeta. A lot. Man, I'm still holding out for his return. So why aren't the movies continuations of the main story then? Simply, it wouldn't make sense. I mean, even I could tell you that. Can you imagine having to pause the TV series on a network while it's running in the middle of an arc just to let a movie come out, have it sit in the theaters for a few weeks while people watched it and their potential audience, everyone see it, so you have to wait, oh okay, has everyone seen it? Good, then we'll continue the TV series. It would be so disruptive. And that is only if they can guarantee that everyone that's watching the TV show will go out to the theaters. Not everybody would. It would be a logistical nightmare. And longtime illustrator for the show Katsuyoshi Nakatsuru, the guy who designed Super Saiyan 4, agrees with me on this matter. My personal feelings are that, with anime or a movie for instance, people will be able to watch it without a problem. Short but to the point. Another character designer, Tadayoshi Yamamuro, was responsible for creating villains when Toriyama really wasn't involved in that particular process for a particular movie. In fact, it's Yamamuro's work that usually crops up on most movie posters for Dragon Ball Z. Pretty cool, eh? It's not easy though making a movie, according to Yamamuro. It has to adhere to a very specific character workflow designed by Toriyama. Even though Toriyama doesn't actually get involved in the day-to-day development of a movie, he does leave guidelines for people. He likes doing that. It means he has control, but then he doesn't actually have to do the work. Yamamura explains this in much greater detail, whilst also retaining much reverence to his teacher. There are proper rules to Toriyama's design. You'll notice if you look closely that each of Bojack's minions have the same design of boots and belts in common. So even though they all have different silhouettes, you can still tell at a glance that they're part of the same crew. Toriyama's designs are so complete that it doesn't feel odd to not change them at all for the anime, and just use them as is for the anime character reference materials. I just have to photocopy them. Obviously, Toriyama's ability with pictures is incredible. The way he sets up the layout for just a single panel is very skilled, so that even in the midst of all the action, you can still easily tell where the enemies and allies are in relation to each other. So in actuality, making a movie without Toriyama's daily oversight can be pretty tricky. You would think that if you were given free rein to do what you want with Toriyama in the back seat, that things were pretty easy, but really, that's not the case. Toriyama has a very unique way of designing characters and places and stories, which many people have really tried and failed to emulate. Only a select few have actually gained the notoriety of perfectly emulating Toriyama's style, one of them being Toyotaro, the guy who designs the Super manga. You have to get it right first time, or else you'll fail to encapsulate the magic of the Toriyama world. You will fail miserably and end up leaving a sour taste in the mouths of fans across the world. Dragon Ball GT being a prime example of how this can go wrong. Yeah, don't do that. This has just been a taster of what makes a true Dragon Ball Z movie. It takes a lot of cooperation, communication, and it all depends on how much work Toriyama's prepared to put into it. He's much less inclined to get stuck into a movie than he is in the series, but he does have his moments of actually providing good stuff. And he does make sure that in the end, the movie story rings true to the Dragon world at large. Something that fans across Japan and across the world can truly get behind. So what do you guys think? Did you find this interesting? Is there anything that I might have missed in terms of movie development? Leave a comment below and let's get this discussion going. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Until the next one, be sure to like and subscribe. Catch you later.